Soulwind TV presents.
Faith and Hope with Sweet Tea and Sass, encouraging couples to reconnect with God and with each other so they can live their happily ever after too.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Sweet Tea and
Sass.
we are going to be talking about our first move.
Well, it's our second, really. Well, third if you count moving out of our parents' home into that tiny little trailer we were in.
Well, yeah, I guess it would be our third move.
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
our third move.
Third of many.
Yeah, oh, way many.
We got some more to tell you about.
Oh, yeah, y'all better hang around because we got some moves under our belt.
So our third move is titled Moving to the Boonies.
Boonies. We had to pipe in sunshine, y'all. Sunshine.
Y'all excuse me.
He has got allergies.
Today
It's
is
raining and his allergies are acting up.
yeah, I don't know what's going on here in East Texas, but it's crazy.
I think it's January and it's spring. I think that's what's going on.
Spring?
I
That's
think
too early
so.
for spring.
I don't think so because the ants the other day were telling me it was spring. They were
Yeah,
busy.
That's true.
There was one ant was carrying a whole tree for an ant.
Yeah.
So they were working hard. So I think it's spring in East Texas.
It could be. Oh, there's going to be a long spring if it is. That just means summer gets here quicker.
Yep, and that means we got to get out of here. We got to get
Yeah.
some speaking gigs and stuff and get out of this heat.
Yes, we do.
Mhm.
Anyway,
It's hot in Texas in summer.
this week's Bible study, you're going to kind of scratch your head wondering why we use this Bible or this Bible verse, but
We'll tie it in for you.
this week's Bible verse is Luke chapter 16, verse 15. He said to them, "You are the ones who justify yourselves in the eyes of others, but God knows your heart." Key word there. What people value highly is detestable in God's sight.
Mm-hmm.
And this particular Bible verse means a lot to us because all of our decisions and all of our choices that we make together as a couple or individually for that matter all revolve around what God's will is, what God's desire is for us as a person and also as a couple.
And as a family, when
Yeah.
when our kids were home as a family, and now even with the kids being grown, we still make decisions based on our family,
Yeah,
the kids, the grandkids. Yeah.
more so the grandkids. But so anyway,
Yeah, around the
this
kids
week's
and the grandkids.
this week's topic is moving to the boonies. Now, my parents had already moved to East Texas after Dad retired from the Air Force.
And they were in the boonies,
Well,
They
they
were
were in a
never
subdivision.
out.
They were in a subdivision.
but they were out. They were in a rural area.
Yeah, but they were still in a brick home in a subdivision.
True.
And we're still living in our 70-foot trailer and
Now,
we're a year and a half into marriage
yeah.
and we decided we were tired of being in a subdivision and listening to all the neighbors fight through the walls
We
of
were
the
in a
trailer.
trailer park. We weren't in a
Well-
subdivision. We were in a trailer park, but the trailers were just right beside each other.
You-
It was really the kids.
yeah,
The kids on the street would be riding their bikes and they bump into each other, and one of them would, I don't know, scratch the other one's bike, and then the parents would get involved. Then they come over there to us, and we were like, we don't even have kids. Leave us out of it. We don't even
yeah.
want to be involved in it. It was just ridiculous.
So we started searching and we found 3 acres of land way out in the woods,
About-
south of Bossier there where we
Right.
were living.
About 5 minutes from where my mom and stepdad had land and where I grew up my teenage years, and a trailer that my stepdad built onto, and it was just a mess, y'all. It was a mess.
So anyway, we found some property, paid for the property, moved the trailer out there.
Well, first we had to clear it.
Well, yeah,
It
that's
was
true.
all wooded, and
It was
we
all
had to clear
wooded,
it
so we had to clear it
every weekend.
and put a pad on it for the trailer big enough for the trailer to fit on, So we spent
dig a
probably
well and
3 months
at least.
on the weekends when we weren't working out there cleaning the property, getting the property set up, ready to move in. Had to put in a septic system and
Water lines
and have
electric and
power
all
run
that.
to it and all of that kind of stuff.
Oh
And
yeah.
so
Live
it
and
was
learn.
live and learn.
Die and forget it all. That's what my grandma used to say. Live
Yeah.
and learn, die and forget it all. I will be glad when I can forget it all. I don't want to die, but I don't want to have Alzheimer's either.
No.
But I don't want to remember all that because that was
Well, that's stuff that makes you stronger.
oh, we grew stronger. There ain't no
And
doubt about that.
we
Physically and mentally,
yeah. So,
emotionally.
so we finally got the trailer moved out there. And fortunately, we didn't have to move anything out of the trailer to get the trailer moved out there. We were able to
True.
just kind of lay everything down on the floor so it wouldn't fall over. And they moved everything out there, set the trailer up, and
Hooked it all up.
hooked it
and
all up, and
We just
we
had
got
to go
moved.
in and set everything up back.
And we got moved in. And fortunately, we had a Sunday school class that come out and help us get the trailer situated again so we could move
That
in.
community, y'all. If you
Family.
don't have a community,
Church
you need a church community.
Church family is one of the best you can have.
Yep. But your
But
parents were
my
not
parents
happy.
were not happy.
Mm-mm.
Again, my dad especially, wanted us to be in a brick and mortar home in a subdivision and not living somewhere out in the boonies. And
Not
we had-
5 miles from my family because they thought that was going to be, we were going to be right up in there. And with my family, we hardly ever saw, unless my grandmother or my aunts and uncles came to visit from out of town, we never saw them.
No, we wouldn't even. I mean,
We didn't want to go over there,
it was.
honestly. I mean,
We could drive by their place and not even see it because they were so far into the woods.
yep.
They were probably 2 miles off the main highway there, and we
And-
could fly by going home and not even.
Besides the way they treated you and the way they treated
I
us
didn't wanna be there anyway.
when we were dating and when we got married, why would you want to be there?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Wouldn't
just
want to be there.
no.
So we got moved in, and it was an interesting time because I was starting to move up a little bit where I was working at the mechanic shop, and
But you weren't happy.
I wasn't happy.
Not what
And-
you wanted to do.
But I really didn't know what I wanted to do because
No.
I was still trying to figure it out.
Didn't know what you wanted to be when you grew up.
No. And
I certainly didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up.
so we're just kind of plugging along and trying to figure things
Just
out. And
Being married and
getting to know each other and still getting to know each other. And
a little bit easier on the money front, a little bit,
yeah.
Yeah, but but still having some struggles and still dealing with life as it comes and
Yep.
still not really ready to start a family.
No, that discussion just kind of fell away. But after we moved out there, one of your good friends moved out of her place, her mom and dad's place, and she decided to move to Shreveport Bossier area.
Actually, she did that. We were still in the trailer park.
Yeah.
Yeah, she moved in with us.
She moved in with us, so there were 3 of us living there. And
Yeah, one of my very best friends been best friends with her since I was a year old, and only
Might as well.
because she's a year younger than me. I mean, essentially, we've been best friends
Sisters.
since birth, sisters.
yeah, they were like sisters. So she moved in with us, and that helped a little bit as far as
The finances.
finances and making ends meet each month. And
Oh,
paying the
her
bill.
parents weren't happy either.
parents weren't happy
Ooh,
either.
her parents were not happy that she's moving in with us, that she's leaving home actually, and that she's moving in with us. And
That was all the way across the state of Louisiana.
oh yes, she would move so far away.
Yeah.
And it was but it was a good time in our life, I think.
Yep, we had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Went on our honeymoon after we moved out there.
Yes.
That was fun.
Did to Disney World.
Yeah.
We just wanted to go to Disney World. We had bought a truck. Now that was a learning experience for
That
you.
was a learning experience.
Why don't you tell them about buying a truck with me?
We had been trying to buy a Jeep pickup truck from a local Jeep dealer,
Brand new.
brand new truck.
Brand new.
And we had been working with them for probably a week trying to get this deal done, and we moved. We were sitting in the dealership there, and the guy said, "Well, you guys are everything is looking good, but you just don't have enough credit built up to make this kind of purchase." And her Cajun blew its stack right there on the spot, and
It's red on
she's
my glasses. What's coming out of my
she
eyes?
slammed all of the payment books down on the desk.
I had just so happened to pay the bills on my lunch hour at work that day, and all of the receipt books were in my purse.
And she slammed all this stuff down and said, "If I'm not having any credit built up, then why am I paying all of these bills? And I'm tired of screwing with you crazy people." And she stormed out, and
I said, I'm out of here. I don't want your truck.
I said, "Well, we'll talk about it." And I was trying to shake people's hands.
He was
I was being nice.
He was being sweet tea.
I was-
And I was being sass. Or maybe
So-
a sass without the S.
So we drove off the dealership.
I told you Cajun temper.
We drove off that dealership and drove maybe a quarter of a mile, pulled in the Toyota dealer, walked in and said, "We want to buy a truck and we have a car to trade in." And 30 minutes later, we drove off a lot with a brand new Toyota truck and drove back by the Jeep dealer and waved at him. And
With the sticker in the window.
there we go. That was our first new car purchase.
Mm-hmm. Our first big purchase. I mean, our first, really new anything purchase.
Yeah, that was our first
But
new anything purchase.
Boy, that Jeep dealer, I stormed out of there. I was screaming and yelling.
Everybody was looking at us.
Everybody, they had all the dealerships were in one part of town. Every dealership knew that there was a lady and she wasn't happy. And he was still shaking everybody's hand. I said, "Are you coming with me or not?" Here. Because just no reason for people to treat you that way.
No,
But you're just so sweet. And it just
never know when you got to go back. You don't want to burn bridges.
burn that bridge. Get me a stick of dynamite. I'll burn him up. I could go to the next town and get a truck. I don't need to have to deal with him and his mess.
So it was that was another learning experience. And
Another learning experience about learning about each other too.
yes,
How much I'll put up with and how much he'll put up with.
yep,
He'll put up with a whole lot more than I will.
yeah. All right. At this point in time, my fuse was getting a little bit longer. Hers was still fairly short.
Yeah, we both
We've learned to add inches to our fuses now.
yeah, we get, it just depends. It depends on who's striking the match.
Yeah. But again, this Bible verse, it's saying that we're always concerned about what other people think of us and how we look to other people and what
Maybe at that point I wasn't so concerned about what other people
and
thought.
in our thought process. And
Maybe I also wasn't thinking about what God thought either. Maybe I was just thinking about my temper.
yeah,
I was just mad.
but it was,
That's all part of growing and learning and getting older,
yeah, you gotta focus on what God thinks of you as a person and what God thinks of you as a couple,
Right.
and to not worry so much about others, but that's a very fine line, because you don't want to seem so arrogant in the vibes that you put off
Yeah.
around other people, and you want to kind of keep it low keel and you want to keep it calm, so to speak. But
You want to have a pleasant word for everybody, and you want to, like I gave a talk on Thursday night.
Yeah.
For Women's Speakers Association, and it was on having faith, and one of the points that I made was taking joy with you. And that is something I've learned over the years, because I spent a great deal of my life being really stressed out and really uptight and really angry, and a lot of that was from the traumas and from the issues, and because I grew up in that kind of environment where, as my counselor put it, I spent all of those years walking around on eggshells and not knowing when I was going to shut the door in my sister's face and be, "Oh, that's okay, it was an accident," and then spill a glass of water and have my arm ripped out from the socket and be beat over the head with it. you couldn't predict anything. It was constantly, I don't even know how else to put this, but it was a crapshoot. You just never knew when you were going to roll snake eyes and you were going to get just backhanded
Yep.
across the room. And that's the environment I grew up in my mom and stepdad's house. So that's kind of just where I was coming from. I didn't know how else to be until it all caught up with me, and I went through counseling because I had to, because I was losing my mind.
Yeah,
Literally.
I grew up in that same kind of house with my dad. Never know how he was going to react when he came home from work. And so, but making decisions for yourself, what you feel is the best for your family, as you as a couple, you as a family with kids. Don't know what kind of situation you have, whether you have natural kids of your own or you have step kids or whatever it may be.
Yeah. And
There's all kinds of exterior turmoils that come in and that you have to deal with that just, you have to figure out how to deal with it.
And that's a whole nother dynamic. See, he never dealt with that because he just had his mom and dad and his three sisters. I had my mom and I was hers from a relationship, and then um my stepdad had kids from his first marriage, and then they had kids together, so we had halves and steps and all the mixing and blending, and they didn't like them and they didn't like them, and it was like the Hatfields and McCoys. It was constantly just, it was just really stressful all the time.
Certainly wasn't the Brady Bunch.
No, it was not the Brady Bunch, not even close. And it was constantly vying for this person, vying for attention, and this person trying to get one up on that one, and they got something and they didn't, and it was just and it was really difficult going into adulthood with all of that stuff and trying to figure out who you are, trying to learn to live with another person, trying to live with yourself, because you've got all that stuff inside of you and you don't know what to do with it. You don't know how to sort it out. You don't know what to do with it. And you bring it into a marriage and you're trying to make a marriage work, and you're going to church and they tell you you should act this way and you should worry about what God says, and you should, and just like the episode in the Jeep dealer, that was just a reaction from where I came from. And it wasn't planned or thought out or intentioned. It just welled up in me and came out without much thought or concern or anything else. It just happened. And it's a lot. And when you come from a situation like that and you're coming into a marriage, you definitely want to resolve those issues before you come into a marriage. And you probably needed to resolve
There were
a
bunch of issues that I brought into the relationship as well. But this is all stuff that comes out as you grow together and you learn to deal with stuff together.
And when you're already in a marriage, you do the best you can, and you try to work through it together. And like for me, I went and got counseling,
right?
Because mine got so bad and so toxic inside of me that I had to get outside help, because it was killing me. And you were able to work through a lot of yours and curb a lot of yours really came out in temper. You really had a really bad temper, but you never unleashed that on me or the kids.
No. She knew that when I came home from work, if I came in the front door and went out the back door to work on the property, she knew I had had a bad day at work and was just going to leave me alone long enough to
let him be,
get things sorted out and figure things out and work through it myself. And
right,
I'd spend, I don't know, an hour and a half, whatever it took to get calmed down there before I come in and sit down and eat and have a calm, quiet evening. And
especially if you had a bad day at work.
Yep.
If you had a bad day at work and you were triggered from that, and then you get home, you would just have to have some downtime.
I'd have to have a way to vent.
And fortunately, I was at least mature enough to know that.
Yeah.
To know that, okay, let him go rake leaves or, whatever. in the yard to work that out. At least I was mature enough and not follow you around and keep, what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of wives do that. And I'm like, just let him be for a little while. He just needs time to sort through whatever's gone on in his day.
That goes for you too, guys. If you come home from work and you see that your wife is out of sorts for whatever reason, just let her know that you're there to listen, and when she's ready, she'll come to you. But that, that doesn't mean to start harping on her and, demanding stuff,
And like we said in an earlier episode, 95% of communication is nonverbal. So he's not going to walk in the door and tell me this, and this happened and I feel this way. And so I'm going to go outside. He's going to walk in the door. I'm going to tell by the way he opened the door, by the way he closed the door, by the way he sat his lunchbox down and marched down the hall and went out the back door, that, okay, it was a bad day and he needs some time. Now, those are some of his tells. What is my tell? What tells you?
She's quiet.
I'm quiet, or I'm crying.
Yeah, crying.
I get mad, and if I get really mad, I cry. And it makes me so angry. It makes me more angry because I don't want to cry. I want to be mad. But my emotions release through crying. And so, like we told you, we have 5 cats. So that was one just trying to knock our screen down so you're not
No, she's just playing
in our kitchen. So that's one of my tells. And he knows if I'm crying, and and I've been crying for a while because my face is all red and streaked, then you probably just need to leave her alone. And a lot of men come in and they see their wives crying and they want to comfort them. And sometimes she doesn't want to be comforted. Sometimes she does, but sometimes she doesn't. And that's when you need to ask some just gentle questions. Are you okay? Is there anything? Do you want to talk? Is there anything I can do for you? Anything I can get for you? And if she needs to learn to also to tell you, no, I just need to cry.
Just give me time.
I just need some time. And she needs to mean what she says.
Right.
So we need to learn to read each other, but we also need to learn to at least communicate enough so that our spouse knows what to do and not get mad at them because they did the wrong thing.
And tone. How you ask your questions and
how they answer the questions.
By the tone going back and forth, you can tell whether or not it's going to be a good conversation.
Yeah, and whether or not they want to talk.
Yep.
Whether it's time to talk or it's just time to be quiet and let me just be.
Yep. So this is another episode of Sweet Tea
and Sass.
And our next episode, if you desire to come back, and we hope you do.
Yes, and leave us comments. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you want us to talk about. Let us know, because right now we're just going through our history and trying to teach you from some of the lessons that we've learned. But tell us, what do you need us to talk about? What do you want to know? What can we tell you? Because we're open books, obviously.
Yep. And we'll also be having interviews in the future with other marriage coaches and just people we know in general that feel could contribute to this podcast.
That can enrich your lives.
Yep.
Yes.
So the next episode, believe it or not, is a brown-eyed girl.
A brown-eyed girl.
Tune in to find out what we're talking about. Love y'all.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
See you later.
Are you feeling broken or lost? Are you struggling to find a community of like-minded women? Come join us on Soulwin, Shining Our Light Women's Inspiration Network. Soulwin women have come out victoriously from their dark places and now use their God-given gifts to shine their light to the whole world. Get your free 30-day trial today. Go to www.soulwin.tv to subscribe now.